All right. Hello and welcome. This is to this episode of what I'm calling Digital Discovery Dam Busters. I'll get into that in a minute, but first off, let me introduce myself for those who don't know you. My name is Doyle Buehler. I'm the author of the book, The Digital Delusion, How to Overcome the Misguidance and Misinformation Online. And I help businesses, enterprise and entrepreneurs scale, disrupt, and grow their business and sales through digital leadership. As I mentioned before, what I'm doing is 3 programs a week, and starting off with the state of digital on Monday. So those are specific tips and ideas, current events that are going on in the digital space and how you can actually apply them to your business. Then on Wednesdays, I talk with a special digital leadership guest, and we go over some current issues and business concerns and that sort of thing as well. And then on Friday, I'm doing the Digital Discovery Dam Busters. So kind of an Ask Me Anything format. So if you do have any questions along the way, please feel free to copy them into the comments, and I will address them or answer them or whatever the case may be. And obviously, because this is a fairly new program, I wanted to sort of start off with a few ideas in terms of answering some questions. So I actually have a couple here, and hopefully as you get into this, we'll be able to ask some more. So I don't expect to go too long, so 10 minutes type thing. So keep that in mind when you sign up or watch the video. So the first question is from Shauna McGee, and her biggest challenge is managing multiple online tools, weighing the subscription costs and complexity against the value, knowing which features are really needed, Xero and Gmail and Zoho and Buffer and KiSSFLOW, and there's actually so many out there. And that's a really good question, Shauna. What it means is that you really sort of have to find out and discover what tools you're looking at first. And a lot of times it's the chicken and the egg type thing, or pulling the horse in the cart, or whatever you want to call it. But it's more a matter of looking at what are your business needs first, and what are your digital needs, and is there then a match that you can actually use? Because a lot of us see these fantastic tools and it's like, oh yeah, I need that, but not actually realizing nor understanding how it actually fits into sort of the digital space and how you can use it going forward. So it's more a matter of, again, defining what it is about your business and trying to figure out, okay, what do I really need? And yes, you're going to see these tools, and yes, they're going to look brilliant, but do you really need it? And sort of sit back and say, okay, if I didn't have this, how would I be able to operate the business? Would anything fundamentally change from a strategic or a tactical perspective as well? So it's not so much that you have that tools, like, yes, you need specific tools, but you kind of have to be careful because you will get inundated with tools. And actually, on that note, what I've been doing is developing a toolkit, a digital toolkit, and it actually follows along in the book, The Digital Delusion. I have 7 principles, 7 disciplines of digital leadership. And basically what I'm doing is creating a tool guide so that you can have each tool for each specific discipline. So digital leadership discipline number 1 is all about strategy. It's defining your strategy. So all the tools will be categorized just on strategy. Whereas digital discipline number 2 is all about content and content development and content strategy and that sort of thing. So that's where those specific tools will be able to be used as well, and going through all the specific the steps as well. Number 3 being social and sharing, number 4 being branding, number 5 being websites, number 6 being sales funnels, and number 7 being advertising and analytics. So you'll have these tools, and hopefully we'll be able to publish this pretty soon, or at least have a beta version. You'll be able to organize the tools based on what it is that you want to achieve within each specific category of digital leadership. And I think that's going to help organize things, because that's going to show you, okay, this is the tool that I can use for this specific strategy, this specific tactic, this specific thing that I want to do. So again, don't get caught up too much in being overwhelmed by tools. It's really a matter of, again, seeing what your business has right now. And yes, tools are good because they can obviously get you to do something a little bit better and a little bit easier. But keep in mind that that sort of has to be the goal. Do you actually need it? What will your business do without it? Will it actually save you time and money, or will it sort of cause more anxiety that, oh, I'm not actually able to do this, or I'm not able to do that? So those are really important criteria as well. So, and plus it's a little bit lighter on the wallet if you don't go out and buy every tool, unless you sort of created some criteria for you and for your business, and then compared the criteria to what is actually needed on for your business as well. So hopefully that answers that question. Again, if you've got any questions, even if you're watching this as a recording, please, I'll be checking these messages. So if you do have any other questions in terms of what are your sticking points with digital, please ask them in the comments, and we'll address them on the next episode. All right, so moving on. Jan Barbosa is asking a question. Going on live video, quite a challenge. Yes, should brands use outside talent or develop inside talent? That's a good question. And Jan, once we get you all trained up, you'll have to show up on this program. So looking forward to that. But it is a challenge, and the challenge is not so much that you have to sort of get out and do it, which is obviously very important, but you also have to have a plan. You have to have a strategy. You have to have something that puts all these pieces together, and that's kind of helping you define that. And one of the digital disciplines is one of them is specifically related to branding for videos and visuals. And if you have a specific goal in mind with video, then you can obviously use it. Keeping in mind that there's a lot of shifting going on with videos. There's a lot of information coming up on videos that you really have to kind of get out there and start to get involved with this, because unfortunately, otherwise you will sort of miss out on a great channel for connecting with your audience. And that's kind of the main thing here. So look, if you don't have the skills, should brands use outside talent or develop inside talent? I think eventually you must have inside talent, because you must have those skills within your company. But look, if you need external help to be able to say, create a strategy, create a content strategy, create a digital strategy, create a video strategy, as you kind of knock down into the depths of what you need for a successful business online, you'll be able to define that, right? So if you have a clear goal, if you have a clear strategy of what's the purpose of this video, right? What is it? Why are you actually doing it? So it's to educate. For me, it's to educate people. It's to build some content. It's to demonstrate what I can talk about and how I can talk about it and that sort of thing. So it's really important to kind of get that out there. So in that case, you want to use, if you need outside talent, then that's sort of to get you lined up and to say, okay, this is where you should be heading. This is kind of the things that you can do to create some activity on that. But then at the same time, like every company sort of has to have those skills embedded, because it's going to be part of your marketing department or part of the activities that the CEO does or the CMO. Like that's where the shift is happening, is that a lot of the leadership of companies are going to be coming onto video and showing and sharing and telling and educating and informing and all that good stuff. Right. So as the leader of the company, you sort of need to sort of drive that. And maybe you have a staff that helps out, sets up the videos and sets up the technology, come to the video with specific topics and specific questions so that you can kind of move the agenda along as well as the digital leader. So again, look at, what strategy do you have? And then how do you actually implement that for the long term, right? As a long-term product, as a long-term capability, video should be internalized. Obviously, you don't need to set up a TV station, right? So keep that in mind, that I'm not saying, create a massive TV station unless that's part of your overall strategy. But for 95% of businesses, that video is a tool, video is a channel. You obviously have to set that up over time, because that's going to be very important to your content development. But it has to be set up in a proper manner, so that you're able to use it, you're able to leverage it, and it's not going to sort of sit on the side in the back corner. so that nobody can actually use it type thing. Because video is current, like Facebook Live. What does that mean? What does that imply? That it's happening right now. So you can tune in now, you can tune in later and watch it. And that's actually what Facebook is doing, is they're creating their own video channel specifically called Watch. And I'll probably cover that a little bit on the State of Digital episode coming up on Monday. All right, so hopefully that answered the question from Jan. And then I've got another question from Dimity Podger. One is around microsites. She has a consulting company and then have a public offering that has a different brand. So it looks like there's two separate types of companies, but they kind of fall under the same overall umbrella. The question is, should I create a page within my current company or a separate site? And that's a really good question, Dimity. It does depend a lot on sort of how you've developed the branding strategy up till now. If people expect to see one brand interspersed with the other, then that's not a big deal. But if it's kind of based on a separate entity, like a physically separate business that has a different brand, then I would almost say give that its own connection to your audience. So give that its own branding, its own URL, and likewise the other company as well, its own branding, its own URL, because that kind of creates a differentiation. And the challenge is that it's not so much how it's structured, it's how people actually see it. So if people see two companies or two parts of one company, it may create a little bit of confusion. And unless they're intrinsically related, then it can become confusing. So look, it's not necessarily the ultimate answer, but what I'm suggesting is that if your branding is very clear and it's very distinct, that, okay, this brand is about this and it's related to this brand about this, then it's okay. But from the audience perspective, again, take a look at, well, could it be confusing to someone coming who has no idea who either of these brands are? So it's definitely something to think about. You can honestly try it and see. If you're worried about sort of, having the same URL, xyz.com/brand1 and xyz.com/brand2 kind of thing. People don't really care about the URL. So if you look at, a specific microsite within your own site, it can kind of contain its own branding. So you don't really have to worry about that. Again, as long as you can delineate between those two brands visually, but also perception-wise, so that it's not kind of confusing for people to be able to see and what they understand. So, and honestly, when you have a microsite, when you have a site, you can put anything that you want on there, right? It can be completely different businesses as well. Again, most people don't really look at the URL anymore. They just kind of click. Very, very few people actually enter it into their browsers. So that's something to consider, that from a visual perspective, don't worry about it too much. It comes down to, okay, what's the perception of this site and how can people actually work with that and understand that as well. Okay, I've got another question here, Manju Tirani. Thanks for the question. How is your review of Video Wiz? Well, Manju, I'm going to have to maybe put that one for next time, because I haven't actually taken a look at that software. So I would love to take a look at it. And if that's okay with you, I will come back with that question for next week, for next Friday as well. So we'll take a look at some of the actual video tools, and in this case, Video Wiz, and I'll see what it offers and how it can work and that sort of thing. So thank you for that question. So that pretty much wraps everything up. If you do have any questions or any feedback, please just put them in the comments, and we'll keep going on for next week. And again, next week, I've got State of Digital coming up on Monday, digital leadership guest. I've got actually a sales presenter and sales specialist from Europe who's going to be talking with me. And then again on Friday, our digital discovery dam buster as well, where we'll be going through for more questions as well. So thank you very much for your time. Hopefully it was quick enough, and have a fantastic day, and we will see you online.